Through this technique of disguising his true identity, as well as various other equally manipulative ones, like gaming YouTube's algorithm to get his videos recommended an unholy number of times, subbotting in order to make his channel appear larger to draw in new followers, and even creating fake accounts that resembled more popular channels in order to fake his own endorsements.
Really interesting. The idea that this would appeal to anyone over the age of like 13 is insane. Like, just look at this. Look at this. I'm sorry, no adult is ever watching that, and if they are, they're more mentally disabled than Smart Schoolboy 9 is. Bruh. Someone said in chat there's a new Jormy video. I think we talked about the thumbnail for this video. YouTube's most manipulative animator. Curious to watch it.
The animation meme community is a topic I've touched on once before, in the video that essentially put my channel on the map. The one in which I documented the absurd and sometimes disturbing online behavior of Meowba, TikTok's most notorious troll. In that video, I discussed the widespread speculation that Meowba used to be an active member of the animation meme community under a completely different username, Peachy Cub. But beyond that, as well as taking a second to highlight the downright dystopian levels of
Dystopian
cringe exhibited in some of the community's content, I didn't delve any further into the topic.
When I was like coming up on YouTube, the animation meme community was like a big thing people were harping on. I think a big point that was being said was like it's not real animation and that's why it sucks. Like this guy PK Russell. What happened to this guy? I don't even know what happened to him. But he used to make a ton of commentary videos about animation memes. Here a video called Animation Memes. I want to say this. I don't even want to say what I wanted to say because I don't honestly remember what got him in. I don't want to make a false allegation, so I honestly don't remember what got him in exactly, but it was something involving Twitter.
So as I've been looking through the internet, I've come across something that I can without a shadow of a doubt say is the worst thing I've ever come across on the internet: animation memes.
That is pretty bad. In fairness, that is pretty bad. That is pretty not good. I don't even know what you say about whatever the f this is. I gotta click off that. We gotta get out of there. But yeah, animation memes were like a big cringe talking point on YouTube at the time that people were on. In the absence of Leafy, kind of in like it was kind of the makings of the art commentary community with like Creepshow Art. I don't know if she made videos about it, but it was kind of like the early stages of that, where the people talking about animation memes. The song is so fire. The song is, you know, it's goated. What can I say? Obviously.
My dear Jormy 49ers is what I consider to be...
Dude, you don't got to use that picture. Jormy, look, bro, I love you, but there's just no reason to use that picture, frankly. There's no good reason to use that picture. Like, come on.
My greatest folly. You see,
Dude, so this guy applied to my editing application stuff, and he was like, I want a job. I was like, okay, add me on Discord. Let's see your portfolio. And he added me, and then he immediately just sent me that image. So I immediately blocked him. He immediately sent me the Luigi's ass, so I just blocked him. And then he emailed me after, was like, hey man, sorry for around, you know, sorry for wasting your time. And I was just like, I think I just replied, I was like, bye or something. I was like, f you, dude. You suck. I hate you. Thanks for wasting my time, dickhead.
In my video, I chose to highlight Peachy Cub's most popular creation, a collaborative animation titled Happier MAP. The reason I brought it up was
every animation YouTuber is either a mentally ill nympho or a raging closet right-winger. What if they were both? That sounds pretty good.
It's because it was a good demonstration of how
Bring me those.
past content was received quite well, but how people had begun returning to her comment section in later years in order to comment about how much she had supposedly changed for the worse by becoming Meowba. But that's irrelevant right now. What is relevant, however, is that mentioning this video actually brought me extremely close to stumbling upon a malevolent rabbit hole of cringe, furriness, and degeneracy, all of which originated from one of the most deplorable online creators I've ever had the displeasure of discovering. Because, as I quickly realized upon looking just a bit closer, this animation was actually made in order to commemorate the literal real-life arrest of one of the animation meme community's most detested villains.
Whoa.
A man who, over the course of little more than a year, was accused of everything from being a groomer to a cultist, managed to get himself banned off of more platforms than most people will ever use in their entire lives, and who single-handedly inspired one of the most insane internet witch hunts I've ever witnessed. Going through his online career is certainly going to be a ride, but that brings me to what will probably be the most significant Jormy49 disclaimer to date. When I've covered stories with disturbing elements in the past, I've always provided you all with an explicit warning beforehand and a timestamp in the description so you can skip forward and avoid any triggering subjects. However, that's not how I'll be.
Okay, people in chat accusing me of wearing eyeliner. I do not wear eyeliner, okay? I've been getting accusations about this my entire life, okay? I do not wear eyeliner, okay? These are my real... How do I even prove this? These are my real eyelashes, okay? I don't wear eyeliner. These are my real eyelashes, okay? This is just how I look, all right? Stop with the makeup accusations, okay? The painted nails era is over, and even during that time, I was not wearing mascara, okay? This is not the case. I'm not wearing eyeliner. Stop with these false allegations, okay? It's not the case.
Handling this video. Unfortunately, when it comes to the actions of this particular degenerate, potentially triggering topics will basically make up the entirety of the video. So,
thanks for the 5,
if you
Moses.
think you'll be particularly affected by topics like harassment, grooming, manipulation, self-harm, CP, and more, you should probably click off this video. It's also important to say that while there have been reports of the subject of this video being literally arrested and convicted, we can't know which accusation.
YouTuber Cristali and Zafiro Toon. I feel like I remember the name Cristali. My YouTube recommended this. Who is Cristali? Happier Map animation meme. This looks... Cristali and Zafiro. I remember this person. For some reason, I know this name. Did I watch a video about them on stream and I'm just not remembering it right now? Oh, yeah, this... I did... Toastify made a video on him. Okay, I remember. Make one last bit on the animators. You mean like the odd ones out? Maybe someday I will. I think, didn't Toastify make a video about this person? Am I schizo? Am I misremembering this? I feel like he did. Oh, maybe I'm confusing it with iMilky.
The charges are related to. As such, all allegations in this video should be treated as just that. Allegations. We simply don't know which claims are true and which are fake, so take them all with a grain of salt, even though the inclination might be to accept them all because of the arrest. Oh, also, I usually try to keep my opinion out of my videos, but that might be a bit tough in parts of this one. With that out of the way...
Well, the terrible opinion that being a bad person is bad. You need to keep that out, man. This video got way too political, okay? Way too political.
It's time I tell you all about David Alejandro Pascual Argueta, known most commonly online as Cristali, but also various other aliases.
Of course, it's a guy with that profile picture and name. Of course, it's some dude.
Like Jade, Valdrox, Zafiro, Chantilly Shy, and plenty more, as well as...
Any anime profile picture you can... Or not just anime. Any female cartoon profile picture, you can assume with 77% certainty that it is a guy behind that account.
As perhaps his most important title, the animation meme community's most deplorable villain. From the offset, I'm going to lay out a definition of what animation memes are in the first place, since it's important context to the situation.
All right, let me guess. All right, chat, I'm going to try to predict this video, okay? An animation meme is a low-quality, repetitive animation with the use of tweening to simplify animation and make it easier to get out, often set to some kind of song or meme, okay? It's like the TikTok version of animation, essentially.
At hand, after all, the nature of the community is part of what allowed David to amass as much
Why is the art always so bad, too?
power and influence as he did. The term animation meme generally refers to a short animation that depicts a character performing simple, repetitive actions, which is then looped and played over music. The word
I'd say I was right, because I'm a genius. I'd say I was right. I'm a genius.
meme is included
For sure.
within this term, not to indicate that animation memes are supposed to be funny, which is what I initially thought. Rather,
Peachy Cub, bro. This is so odd. As we all know, the greatest animation memer is Bella the Wolf. meme collab with bubbly potions.
Forever, it's forever. Baby soft skin turns into lather. It's forever, it's forever.
This isn't even like animated. It's just one frame that they're moving around. This is so bad, bro. This is so weird. Of course, there's like a furry guy with pubic hair on his head. Wow, that is truly beautiful. Oh, a lot of the comments are talking about how they think this is Meowba. What happened? She was such a good person. She made art, spread awareness, and now she encourages some of the worst things ever. She made horrible things regarding a man's death. She encourages people to harm themselves, regularly says slurs. It's all around just controversial. I get that some people go through hard times, but she was definitely such a good person. What could happen to make people turn out like this? Too much time on Discord. I'm sorry on behalf of whatever may have hurt and or changed you. You can still turn your life around for the greater good. You can be forgiven. Please just try.
Rather, it's supposed to indicate the propensity for these animation templates to be copied and spread all across the internet. Since back before the days of Skibbity Riz and Munting, I guess.
Munting? Munting is, hold on. Just to clarify, munting is awful taking a shit? Oh, no. That's something else. A notional necrophilia-related activity where one places their mouth over the bodily orifice of a recently deceased person while another jumps on the stomach. Okay, you get the idea. Sort of a squeezing the end of the toothpaste tube type thing.
A meme used to just be a behavior passed from one individual to another through imitation. As you might imagine based on the ones I've been showing on screen, the stylized characters, colorful artworks, and usually popular and catchy songs included within animation memes served to draw in an audience that was generally very young. Furthermore, the simplicity and repetitiveness of the animations made it somewhat simple for these newfound members of the community to start creating their very own content.
It's just like simplifying animation for like the internet age, right? Much like what happened with all the Storytime Animator people, like the odd ones out, right? Like they simplified the animation to the point that they could get it out on a regular basis. Because previously animation on YouTube kind of died. It became a untenable waste of time, like straight up animation on YouTube, because YouTube kind of changed their algorithm to favor watch time over clicks, which meant that, you know, the longer your video is, the more money you make and the more it gets promoted. All of these, you know, sort of Storytime Animators came up because it like fits animation into the, what the f is that thumbnail? Bitten while defending a friend. It's why these guys blew up, because it like took animation and put it into a format that could easily be, you know, used on YouTube, right? It's still animation technically, but it's very simplified. It tells like a relatable life story, and it can easily be done, you know, week after week, depending on how much effort you want to put in. The Always Out doesn't upload that much. He uploads relatively rarely now, but I think there was a time period when he was uploading a couple times a month at the very least, like 4 or 5 times, because the, you know, the animation was relatively simple and it was like relatable stories, and it could fit into like a, you know, 6 to 10 minute video that would blow the freak up. And that's how those guys blew up. The Always Out fell off so hard. I don't know. I haven't watched them since I was like 15 years old, so I don't really know.
Ranks of creators they idolized. Through this cycle, the community began to drastically expand, leading to a massive influx in visibility. Channels like Rad, WolfieChew, Ginja Ninja Owo.
WolfieChew. Wait, I know this name. Didn't I make fun of this person or something on YouTube like 7 years ago? This video is bringing up Blast from the Past. WolfieChew, the zombie song. Yeah, this kind of shit.
Then all of your friends, they'd try. I'd never eat you, and I'd keep my head. Then all of your friends.
17 million views, by the way. Holy shit. I hope this person made bank off whatever this is. Good for them.
And more were able to accrue subscriber counts in the millions, and at a certain point, there were countless creators popping up each and every day, hoping to tap into this fresh new market. But as you might have expected, in a space where a great deal of both the fans and the creators are children, it wasn't long before bad actors began to present themselves. And that brings us to the man of the hour.
Yeah, classic story of like community infested with children, area of the internet infested with children online, seemingly innocent from the start, but then you have like bad actors fall into it to prey on their child audiences.
David. From here on out, I'll be covering David's degenerate on.
How much would someone make off a video with 17 million views? If it's 3 minutes long, I don't know what the ad rate would be on a video that's 3 minutes long. Because none of my videos are 3 minutes long. What would the ad rate be on a video that short? If you can have one ad, because you can only have one mid-roll if it's less than 8 minutes. So what's the YouTube CPM on a video that's 3 minutes long? I don't know how accurate this will be. How much should you pay me for my 2-minute video?
What's going on, guys?
Let's see. Obviously, ad rates fluctuate with time. Okay, so we got 400K views and made 600. Is this euros?
So you can see it's giving me quite a big bulk of my subscriptions. So in terms of audience retention, you see that my audience, or the people,
and this isn't a short, keep in mind, shorts make less than like an average 16:9 aspect ratio video.
that watched this video had only really stayed for 50%. Now this is actually quite high. It has made me a total of $780.12.
Okay, so $780 USD. I assume is what he's talking about. And that's for a video with 500K views. So we can just multiply 17 times 2 to get 24. Multiply 24 by 500. $12,000. Yeah, that could have been the case for a video with that many views. I could see that. It might be more, it might be less, but you know, ad rates have fluctuated a lot over time. They've consistently gone up, like since the apocalypse happened, when they hit rock bottom, ad rates have consistently gone up. I'm kind of preparing for the event where ad rates drop because they've been really, really good lately, especially for long videos. Like, what is the ad rate on? Let me check the recent video I made. What's the ad rate? What's the CPM on my Daniel Larson video? Revenue. So this revenue for every 1K view is the RPM. Do I get CPM or RPM? I don't remember. Okay, advertisers pay $34.58 per 1,000 views, but what I actually get is $19 because YouTube takes like 45% or something. So 19 times how many thousand views does this video have? 1.4 million. So it has, yeah, 1,400 times 1,000 would be 1.4 million, right? 1,400 times 1,000. Oh, would that be 14 million? 1.4. Oh, no, it would be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1.4 million. Yeah, so 1,400 times dollars is 26,600. Yeah, that's about accurate, yeah. But that video is also really, really long. It's 3 hours, 3.5, almost 4 hours long. The CPM on a shorter video, like the Chris Tyson video, that video is 33 minutes long. That video has a CPM of $6 for every 1,000 views, or RPM of $6 for every 1,000 views. That's what I get. So it's much less. So longer videos make a lot more money, to put it in perspective.
$780.12, a 2-minute video, 600 Great British Pound sterling.
Online career, going through his major controversies in as close to chronological order.
To answer your question, that the CPM on a video with 17 million views is lower than a longer video that's like even 8 minutes long, because if it's 3 minutes long, you can only put one ad on it, one mid-roll ad, which the mid-roll ad is like, if you don't have YouTube Premium and you click on a video, the unskippable ad or the bottom, ad on the bottom of it, whatever, that's a mid-roll ad. When you see that, that's how a YouTuber gets paid by AdSense. So even though the video is short because it has 17 million views, they probably made a good bag off of it.
As I can, although because of how short his reign of terror truly was, and because of how many degenerate things he was able to accomplish within that limited time frame, I will have to skip around just a bit in order to avoid talking about multiple situations at the same time. Also, for the sake of structure, I've decided to split this story into 3 chapters, each based on the internet's general view of David at different times, and then a separate chapter discussing the aftermath of his arrest. I believe this makes it easier to see just how quickly his activities escalated, from being a mere nuisance
to a hey, that's me. I'm not a nuisance, I'm base and awesome.
Deplorable creep, and then to an outright criminal. And furthermore, I think it can help highlight a problem that I and many—
He called me out. He tried to roast me. F this guy. Unsubscribe now.
The others
banned
have with communities like these. The tendency to conflate serious issues and allegations with petty gripes and dramas. This will become more evident as the story is told, but as you'll see, there will be many instances of people grouping in the most mundane criticisms with the most horrific accusations. But I digress.
Yeah, tracing. That was the biggest thing, was like, the biggest meme among like Creepshow art types was like, they're tracing and they're racist and they're it's like, I feel like one of those things is probably the most important thing to talk about here. I don't know that lumping those in is like the most good thing to do.
With all that out of the way, let's start at the beginning.
Because if they're on the same level.
Emerged on the online content creation scene and established himself as a grade A user. David's
Grade A
earliest
loser.
efforts at online content creation are difficult to track, in large part due to the fact that almost everything related to him has, at this point, been wiped from the face of the internet. However, from what few references still remain, we can see that he actually began as a gaming-centric channel.
This guy's appearance reminds me of Pollution Entertainment. You remember that guy? He was a guy who got a bunch of shit on YouTube a while ago. He was, I mean, rightfully so. He was like abusing cats and posting it to YouTube, I think was his thing. The appearance reminds me of that.
On YouTube.
Quite a bit.
Though he would later become more infamously known as Cristali, his channel did not originally bear this name. Instead, it was called Voldrox.
Voldrox.
During this era, David would make an effort to draw in an audience by imitating the content of an extremely popular gaming channel called Fernanfloo. And although he would be unsuccessful in growing his brand,
he's a foreigner. It's so interesting to me to think about. I remember one time I stumbled across some channel that was basically like an Indian commentary channel. He spoke, everything was in whatever their language is, Hindi or something. But, well, this guy, Fernanfloo, has 15 million subscribers. Oh my God. Les presento a mi novia. Just presenting my new girlfriend. That's what that is, I think. Looks like he makes a lot of different kinds of content.
¿Cómo están, gente de YouTube? Estamos aquí con un nuevo video para el canal. Esta vez estoy feliz porque ha salido una nueva
Spanish PewDiePie.
actualización, el alfa número 2 de Hello Neighbor.
Número 2 de Hello Neighbor. That's funny, based.
brand during this era, it is still interesting to look back on. Because his content consisted of him recording himself speaking directly to the camera, David's face, and the clear fact that he was a man who primarily spoke Spanish, became linked to the Voldrox name. This is important to keep in mind, because after pivoting to making animation memes, he would try to conceal this, instead choosing to present himself as a 16-year-old girl. Now, the act of concealing your status as an adult man in order to pretend to be a teenage girl is questionable even under the best of circumstances, but as we'll see later...
I mean, questionable is not even putting it pretty lightly. I'd say that's creepy. That's pretty creepy behavior. If you're online in any context as an adult man pretending to be a 16-year-old girl, that's really weird.
This was an integral part of David's scheme to draw in potential victims and get their guard down. But we'll get to all that later. For now, let's talk about David's animation meme debut. He began uploading animations across multiple sites, including DeviantArt, Instagram, and YouTube, starting in 2017. To accompany this change in content, he switched the name of his YouTube channel from Voldrox to Cristali, and not too long after that to Cristali and Zafiro, named for two of the characters that frequently appeared in his animations. Although,
if they're hunting, it may not be weird to pretend to be a teen girl, but I mean, that's not what these people are doing, right? That's not what this guy wasn't hunting for. That's not what he was doing. I guess I get your point when I said in any context. I guess that's the one context where I'd be like, okay. But if you're doing that, I hope you're working with law enforcement so you can get the guy arrested.
Side note, even after this change, he apparently accidentally left traces of his old gaming content on the channel, including playthroughs of some very tasteful games that may or may not have involved characters from My Little Pony in some compromising situations.
Of course it did.
Regardless, it was clear that he
Shut up,
all
bronies.
in on this rebrand, including fully committing to his new identity.
Why is the art so bad, though? Isn't this like an adult man? Why does the art look like such shit? It looks like a child made it. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that was part of pretending to be a 16-year-old girl was to make the art intentionally bad.
As a 16-year-old girl. To make this more believable, he would actually begin hiring voice actresses to provide lines that he would use in his videos, and when people would compliment these voices in the comment sections, he would make no effort to clarify that they weren't actually his. At one point, he even had one of the voice actresses record themselves responding to comments, to further sell the illusion that the voice actually belonged to him. We'll discuss more controversies having to do with these voice actresses later, but for now, just assume he was in the habit of not crediting them for the express purpose of maintaining his cover. After all, if he were to credit them, it would reveal that he was paying someone to speak for him. That would certainly raise questions.
How do people not pick up on it, though? Because if he was using multiple voice actresses, wouldn't people be like, that's clearly a different voice? Maybe the audience was just mostly children, so they never picked up on it, because the content's clearly geared towards, like, 8-year-olds, but yeah, it's interesting that nobody picked up on that at the time, seemingly.
Unfortunately for the animation meme community, and frankly the world at large, this scheme was largely successful. Through this technique of disguising his true identity, as well as various other equally manipulative ones, like gaming YouTube's algorithm to get his videos recommended an unholy number of times, subbotting in order to make his channel appear larger to draw in new followers, and even creating fake accounts that resembled more popular channels in order to fake his own endorsements.
Really interesting. Subbotting is such an interesting thing that people have done before. Like a decent amount of people have been accused of it. I feel like it's not as common nowadays as it was, but there was a time on YouTube when like subbotting was like a major criticism, major complaint people gave, you know, others. Cause like, I feel like now people don't care as much about sub count, but at the time, like your sub count was like your YouTube dick. It was like showing off your dick to the world. It was like, I have the biggest one. Right. And people would like pay a lot of money to try and make sure it didn't look like they had a lesser sub count than others. And if they lost subscribers, they would pay thousands of dollars to different services to like get their sub count artificially inflated. But I'm pretty sure if YouTube figures out you're botting, I think that violates their like spam and deceptive practices policy. And I think they'll straight up ban you if you do that.
David was able to burrow his way into the community like a parasite. And
thousands? Yeah, dude. People would pay like 4 to 10 grand to subbot. I remember back in the day, a lot of people got accused of that, and I think some of them were definitely guilty. Yeah, it was a huge deal because like it was just like they didn't want to look like a loser. The idea that like they were losing subscribers like affected them so much. They didn't want anybody to be able to see that, so they would pay to have their like sub count inflated to protect their ego.
Before anyone even noticed, he was already entrenched. Judging by a video he posted near the end of 2017 titled Cristali and Zafiro Rewind, his YouTube channel had accrued more than 1,000 subscribers within the first few months of uploading, which is no easy task, considering that the vast majority of YouTube channels never reached this milestone at all. This growth evidently continued, with records showing that by the end of January 2018, he had gained another 5,000 subscribers. This number would only continue to skyrocket over the coming months, to the point that, come October of the same year, he had obtained nearly 80,000 subscribers. This unbelievable growth seemed to show that the Cristali channel was on the fast track to becoming a mainstay in the animation meme community. Or at least, it could have been, if its name hadn't been mired in controversy from nearly the moment it began uploading.
I think the controversy, funny picture by the way, I think the controversy was inevitable if it was being run by an adult man pretending to be a young child. Like, even if everything that happened after that hadn't come out, it's still going to look really weird, right? Like, with any anonymous YouTuber, if you find out that they're lying about their identity, especially their age, they're pretending to be a minor, that in and of itself is going to be a weird controversy, and people are going to really scrutinize that person and look into them past that point, you know? Nice content, don't fan again in public, please. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen.
Specifically, there were 3 main controversies that plagued David's online presence during these early months, and these make up the majority of our little first chapter. David faced backlash for
the loser
first
chapter.
Of all, the clear presence of sexually suggestive material within his content. Second, the fact that he was very obviously tracing artwork from more popular animators
disgusting
in the community. And third, his absolutely atrocious responses to criticism.
I'm not saying that tracing isn't bad, but something about the idea of like, because a lot of the time I'll see like furry artists on Twitter who like, they're like, this person, at least back in the day, this is more of a common thing, but they'll have a tweet blow up like, this person traced my art of this doggo, and it's like, I mean, I understand the problem, but at the same time, like, just draw something else, bro. Stop drawing furry shit. You're strange.
First, let's talk about his not safe for work content.
Gus Johnson.
The animations David posted were undeniably sexually suggestive, and on a channel which had no clear indication that its content would be not safe for work, and in a community that harbors large amounts of underage fans, this was seen as a bit questionable. The implications of this would only worsen when, as he began to accrue a following, he created a Patreon on which he would post fully explicit artworks, again for his audience of presumably mostly children. There were
presumably, I feel like you don't even have to guess that much to figure out that his audience is mostly children. Look at the shit he was making. Like, if you just look at any animation meme channel, like the idea that this would appeal to anyone over the age of like 13 is insane. Like, just look at this shit. Look at this. I'm sorry, no adult is ever watching that, and if they are, they're more mentally disabled than Smart Schoolboy 9 is.
Some artworks contained within the dank recesses of his Patreon that were labeled with things like teen and lolly.
Shocking.
If you're a fan of the channel, you'll know that type of artwork is not exactly something that I, nor the internet at large, has a lot of appreciation for. And it is likely, at least in part due to these degenerate artworks, that his Patreon was eventually deleted. However, possibly because he was able to fool many people into believing he was underage himself, or simply because people in the community didn't realize how disgusting his content truly was, David didn't initially face as much backlash for posting both softcore and hardcore to his audience of minors as—
I mean, I feel like the biggest thing is like he wasn't the subject of commentary channels who would be willing to call him out. He was mostly just known by his underage fans who, like, you know, it's— first of all, you shouldn't be explaining to a 12-year-old what lolly is, but also, like, explaining to them why it's wrong is something they might not even understand, right? So, like, it's hard to, you know, like, once you get with, like, Mr. Beast's audience, right? Like, how are you supposed to explain the problems with his channel to, like, the 10-year-olds that watch him? Like, they don't even have the mental capacity to comprehend what's going on. So, yeah.
As you might expect. However, the backlash he received for this next controversy was much more immediate, as people discovered he was engaging in one of the art community's cardinal sins, tracing. Now, despite the fact that my channel has inexplicably become the premier place to talk about degenerate artists, I don't exactly consider myself an art expert. That being said, I do feel confident in claiming that David was 100% a tracer. For basically every single animation he posted to any of his accounts, it was extremely simple for people to cross-reference his artwork to that of other creators in the community. To make things even worse, David was actually paywalling some of his traced artworks by including them on his aforementioned degenerate Patreon membership, which, to many people, crossed a line, as it showed his intent to directly profit off of the work of others. He also had the very creepy habit of tracing artworks that were meant to be safe for work, and then simply removing the clothes.
I don't remember making this tweet. You must, I mean, I do remember this actually, from March. You must try your hardest not to goon. Gooning is necessary to some extent. However, the reward you receive when you edge is far greater. You must find a way to get the benefits of gooning without being a gooner. You need to not goon. That's true. How much do you think the furry art market is worth? I don't know how I'm supposed to quantify that. Don't they make a lot of money, though? Isn't that like one of the easiest ways to make money as an artist, is just draw like degenerate furry art? I'm pretty sure they make a bunch of money from that. But yeah. Because isn't there like, there's like an endless supply of like furries that somehow have money from like their IT jobs that are willing to pay for like gross anthro furry art. So I think they probably, I don't know how I can like say the market evaluation on all of those people is, but there's definitely a bunch of money in it, I would say.
And drawing breasts or something along those lines in order to turn them into materials, which he would then also paywall on his Patreon. Suffice it to say, David wasn't particularly subtle about his habit of ripping off the work of others. As such, as early as January of 2018, YouTube videos and DeviantArt posts alike began to flood the community, warning that he was rampantly tracing artwork and passing it off as his own. The tracing accusations got so bad that some larger creators eventually began to join the fray. Specifically, by May of 2018, a YouTuber named Nani had made multiple videos calling Cristali out for these behaviors. Nani was a YouTuber who had close ties to the art commentary community. At one point, she had more than 250,000
I remember this channel name for some reason. A lot of these names are coming back to me because I feel like I shit on them at one point, or I watched videos of shit on them. The Nani drama.
Hi, my name is Nani and I do art commentary on YouTube.
Hey Nani, can you talk about black artists on TikTok getting harassed and getting sent death threats for drawing fictional characters as black or mixed with black for the sake of representation? All we want is to be treated fairly.
No. Instead, I'm going to talk about a white person getting bullied for their art style on TikTok and disregard the fact that there have been racist allegations against them. We shouldn't bully people for their art style.
Why is it that you were so quick to defend this white, almost 18-year-old instead of young black artists? And don't you think it's kind of hypocritical to say that we shouldn't make fun of someone's art style even?
So their greatest crime is that they love white people and they hate black people.
Though you have an entire playlist dedicated to making fun of kids that make etcha videos.
Ooh, you're right.
What the f is that? Nani re-upload. What did they make? POV Sashley's response to receiving hate for her racist past actions. Why do these videos have so many views? 70,000 views? This many people care about this? What the Squizzy's downfall? Oh, Hyojin. Let's see this. Okay. What the f am I watching? I forgot to add all the slurs. Based. What the f? Why are they drawing shit all the time? Did they have like a scat fetish? I don't even remember this. The last time I thought about Hyojin, I think, was during the whole the Slazo drama. And then I remember, I want to say a year or two ago, her ex-boyfriend came out and said that she hit him. And then she just came out and was like, yeah, I did it. And then she just left. I think that's the last I heard about Hyojin, honestly. That's the last time I heard anything regarding Hyojin. To me, I think the most interesting thing about seeing the downfall of people like I'm Alex and Hyojin, who were in the same friend group at one point in time and were both commentary channels, is like they were some people that were the most, outspoken about certain allegations, like regarding, for Alex, it was like, I guess, Zaptai and Slazo. There's probably someone I'm missing. For Hyojin, it was Slazo, and I want to say Quite, but Hyojin might have been gone by that point in time, but the most interesting thing to me about those kind of cases is they were the most ardent pushers of false allegations, and they both, ultimately were exposed for their own allegations, which were seemingly true. I mean, Alex hasn't responded, but from everything we've seen, it seems somewhat apparent that he definitely hit Alice. And with Hyojin, she came right out and admitted it. So the interesting thing to me is just the level of projection, right? Because these are people who are obsessed with, like, it's not even just like talking about allegations and like on like YouTube. It's like they were personally interested in like destroying and canceling various people that they knew personally off of allegations which were ultimately false. So it kind of, you read into their history and you can just kind of see that a lot of it was purely projection, right? It's interesting to see that over the long term kind of take place. Because the thing is, like, Alex was getting shit for the Slazo thing. When I made my video about the Slazo shit, I think I was like 16 or 17 years old back then. Most of you guys in chat probably weren't even watching me back then. It took until I was 21 years old for Alex to get exposed. And I think I was like 19 or 20 when Hyojin got exposed. So like these things take years, to really come out. But, the arc of history is long. YouTube and life in general is a very long game. So, just take that into consideration. You never know the way the winds will blow. If you told me back in 2017 or 18 that I'm Alex would be exposed for hitting his emo girlfriend, I would not have believed you whatsoever. It would just seem too good to be true, too outlandish. But, you never know what's going to happen. You never know the way that the tides are going to go. I'm not eating sour cream. I ate a yogurt. Jesus Christ. I'm not a sick freak. I ate yogurt, okay? I'm not eating sour cream. You think I'm sick in the head? People who eat sour cream are worse than people who hit girls, okay? Let's be honest.
Nani was a YouTuber who had close ties to the art commentary community. At one point, she had more than 250,000 subscribers, and although her channel has since been privatized, through archives, we can see that her videos about Cristali, of which there are many, have all accrued hundreds of thousands of views. She'll be a major player in the story later, but for now, just know that her videos played a part in drawing attention to the Cristali channel's tracing tendencies. What's more, our very own darling cancelled commentator Creepshow Art
Let's go!
also got involved, which just goes to show how far
we need to talk about Cristali. Dude, I love videos titled We Need to Talk About. We need to talk about Cristali. Creepshow Art's such a funny person. Okay, I clearly typed in the wrong thing there. I don't know what I just found. Yeah, let's see this.
The internet is a terrible, weird, stupid place filled with greedy assholes who, like myself, find ways to make money off of it. It's not a safe space where people can open up about things that have happened to them, or a place where you're going to—
Shut up. Her voice is so annoying. How did anyone watch this person, bro? She sounds like she's chewing on peanut butter.
To be greeted by upstanding citizens of the world who just share differing worldviews and don't take issue with you at all. I might sound overly paranoid, but
even like the production quality is so bad. Her commentary is so bad. How did anyone watch this person? How did anyone like this videos?
Drawn smut continues to draw smut and likes drawing smut. I don't send drawings of dongs to people who say please don't do that, and I also don't send to people who say don't send me. It's just common decency.
Thank you very much for your riveting commentary. Brave take.
Are these accusations actually spread? With all of these callouts mobilizing—
Why does she talk like that? I think because she's fat.
The masses, people began to flood Cristali's comment section with accusations and condemnations. And this leads us to our third surface level controversy: his toxic responses to critics. At first, David attempted to save face by feigning innocence and either deleting accusatory comments or just outright disabling comments on some of his videos. On rare occasions though, if someone made him mad enough, they would be treated to a response that didn't really seem to match up with his 16-year-old uwu soft girl persona. For example, in this classy comment, he makes the audacious claim that anyone who doubts his word is a little rat and is—
Wait, that comment is awesome. Wait, I want to read that. There will always be a little rat out there commenting and saying, no, this is false. Maybe your dad touches them. They suffer in school. Or it is, ha ha ha, more publicity for the channel. Thanks for your support. Español. Siempre habrá uno ratita ardido por ahí comentado y diciendo que no, que esto es falso, pero bueno, tal vez su papá los toca. Sufren en la escuela, o es retardo, ya. Más publicidad para el canal. Gracias por su apoyo. Activating Stoic Gorilla Grind Set. Thank you. Thanks for the big dono. Jesus Christ. I see you giving big donos to Nick, bro. You must be freaking loaded. Ja. That's how we laugh in Spain. In Bulgaria, the way they laugh is like... Bulgarians invented the sacred method of cooking with their feet. You guys may not know that. That's some secret Bulgarian lore. Look it up.
And they must do badly in school or get touched by their father. Truly a wordsmith. Unfortunately for him though, these types of comments didn't do much to abate the criticisms, and he quickly deleted most of them. At this point, it was clear that if he wanted to salvage his rapidly deteriorating reputation, a more tactful response was warranted. And so
I never understand what is the... I feel like it shows such like weak character insecurity to be arguing with people in comment sections. If you're a YouTuber, going out of your way to argue with random commenters is such a waste of time. Like how do you expect to convince those people of anything? Like when I was seeing like Nerd City, for example, go on Reddit to like argue all day with people, I was just like, I was thinking like, why the f would you do that? If you want to respond to like false claims about you, just like make a video about it. And then it's like, oh, we're going to bring attention to them if I do that. And it's like, okay, well then just don't respond. You're already bringing attention to them by responding on your public facing platform where you're going to, you know, then get people to make videos about what you said. So like, just don't be arguing on Reddit, man. Stop arguing with people on Reddit. Stop arguing with like haters and detractors on Twitter. Just shut the f up and make content, man.
Oh, the world was treated to a YouTuber apology so silly it would have had Moist Critical jumping for joy. In this apology, David essentially claimed that although he had tried to turn his fanbase into a quote-unquote family, which is a type of language we'll hear a lot from him later, and be open and caring with all—
I'm sorry, but I tried to make this a family, and I like them for supporting me, but there are people who do not understand it and only look for visits and subscribers using my name, man, leaving me as trash before everyone. I'm sorry, but I will no longer answer your messages for Google, Twitter, Facebook, and accounts because people without escrupulos are taking screenshots and altering them so that I look bad before you all. I'm sorry for these who are truly fans of the channel. Now, I understand why the YouTubers do not respond to their fans, man. To the question that if I copy others, it's yes, I copied other artists, but that's when I started. And I did it to learn. Anyone does. But today, I showed you what my true art is. I hope you understand and do not be fooled by people. Thanks to all. Thanks, family.
You sound Italian.
I'm sorry, but I will not answer your messages by Google, Facebook, Twitter, and other accounts because people with scrupulous are taking screenshots and altering them, so I look bad before you all. I'm sorry for those. I'm sorry for those who are true fans of my channel.
That's a little better. Italian. There you go.
With them. He had been betrayed by people who had...
My name is Cristali. I make an animation meme. I used to trace, but it's not a big deal. I also love kids.
Had called him out and doctored screenshots to make him look bad. In terms of the tracing accusations...
The thing about a mama's recipe is it tastes better when you're a...
Yeah.
Well, David outright confirms them, claiming that yes, he had copied the work of others, but he had only done so because he was simply trying to learn how to get better, as he had only just started creating art. Furthermore, he claimed that from that point onwards, he would begin to show his own original art. This was false. Finally, he closed things out by fishing for pity in one of the most...
Realmente no sé qué hacer, y me pasan muchas cosas por la cabeza.
I'll stop doing the accents. I'm having too much fun.
ludicrous ways imaginable. He claimed he'd done tracing because it was easier for him.
La verdad, yo estoy haciendo un cambio, pero me cuesta, porque estoy adquiriendo Parkinson.
Is he saying he has Parkinson's? I don't know what adquirendo means. Parkinson? The truth is, I'm making a change, but it's hard for me because I'm acquiring Parkinson. He's saying he's coming down with Parkinson's at like 20 years old, but he's also pretending to be a 16-year-old girl. Acquiring? Okay. Yeah, I can see it in the translation down here.
To do that than to create his own art because...
Guys, I traced because I traced people's art because I have Parkinson's. It's literally like the Brad Taste excuse. I'm disabled.
He was developing symptoms of Parkinson's. Now, beyond the fact that it's exceedingly rare for anyone to show any signs of Parkinson's disease before the age of 60, I have to say, I personally think a better solution when having difficulties drawing would be to simply not draw instead of...
Also, if you have Parkinson's, how are you going to trace? You're not even going to remember the fact that you're tracing. You're going to be drawing and you'll be like, oh, what was I drawing? And you're just going to draw a big dick on the screen. I feel like this Cristali guy was almost like trolling with his responses, like baiting people to like figure out that he was full of shit. Because like saying, you have to be a complete to think that you can use Parkinson's as an excuse for your misconduct on YouTube, you know?
Of purposefully ripping people off and trying to profit off.
Parkinson's, wait, what the fuck is Parkinson's? Hold on. Am I getting these confused? Affects the nervous system? Oh, this is the physical one. Okay, I'm sorry. Chronic brain disorder that affects the nervous system and causes movement problems. Okay, I'm a fool. My bad. That's the guys who are like, it's like Michael J. Fox, right? Like the, so today I just wanted to talk about this thing. That's what Parkinson's is, right? Sorry to offend anyone with Parkinson's. Just, you know. It's that kind of thing, right? Shaky hands.
I'm saying that I'm gay.
Doesn't Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future have that? Or does he have ALS? What does he have? What does Michael J. Fox have? He does have Parkinson's. Good actor.
Parkinson's. Now, beyond the fact that it's exceedingly rare for anyone to show any signs of Parkinson's disease before the age of 60, I have to say, I personally think a better solution when having difficulties drawing would be to simply not draw, instead of purposefully ripping people off and trying to profit off of their work. But, as I always say, what do I know? Regardless, this apology also didn't go over quite that well, and it was also quickly deleted, as David attempted to once again go back to his strategy of just disabling comments and pretending there was no controversy surrounding him. Now, while the reactions to criticism we've seen so far have obviously been pretty abysmal, these are just the responses that David made publicly.
I can't stop thinking about that. If I ever get in like a controversy on YouTube, I'm going to be like, I have Parkinson's. I'm disabled. That's going to be my excuse.
Private, his responses to being questioned were far more disturbing.
What is this screenshot? Freddy Fazbear says to buy a rope.
And
that's awesome.
Further called into question
That's
his
so
quality
good.
of character. As a chief example of this,
That's
back
fire.
when he was first getting started on DeviantArt, David was contacted by Rosali, who was one of the artists he was...
Rosali. Why do I know this name too? Why do I shouldn't know these people's names. I'm 22 years old. I'm a 22-year-old man. Okay, I have aggressive armpit hair. I should not know who the Rosali is. RPG original meme collab. Why was that so loud? All right, we had enough. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for looking at that.
Was in the habit of
that was a
tracing
bad idea.
from. In fact,
that was a really bad idea.
Cristali is literally just a traced version of
was a
Rosali's
terrible
main
idea.
OC at the time. So you can imagine that when she reached out to him, it wasn't the friendliest exchange. Understandably, Rosali wanted David to stop tracing her art. Specifically, she took issue with his tendency to turn her drawings into NSFW, because not only was he profiting off of it, but it was also just kind of creepy to turn her normally safe for work drawings into that. In response,
isn't Nux Taku getting shit for this right now? I only know of this peripherally. I kind of tuned out of that controversy, but isn't Nux Taku getting shit for Jaden Animations stuff? Something related to sexualized thumbnails of Jaden Animations. Why are people so obsessed with drawing Jaden Animations in like a sexual way? I guess I assume it's because she's one of the few like female content creators who has a big audience who doesn't sexualize herself. So immediately people are just gravitated to that because she doesn't like it. Oh, the Nux Taku extension. I've seen this. This is funny. I like this. Whatever this thing is, whatever this extension is, this is awesome. I should get this extension. If it's not malware, maybe I'll get it. Martin Luther King, we have a dream speech with just Nux Taku like reacting there. That's awesome. That's dopeness supreme. Nux is always in some shit. Yeah, man, it seems like a lot of his past actions are really coming back to bite him recently. It seems like people were uncritical of him for a long time because he existed in like the anime gooner community, and then he came to the commentary community, and eventually everybody figured out a bunch of the shit he had done. Yeah. People find Jaden's avatar hot. Well, do you say that, but like, what is there to find hot about it? It's a cartoon. What is hot about this?
As of now,
like, what are people finding attractive about this inherently? It's a stick figure. It doesn't even look like a human. It doesn't even look like a real person. It's just a drawing of a girl with hair. It's like the least gooner, unsexual drawing of a girl with hair. Why are people busting to this? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing there. There's nothing to bust to.
Claimed that this was simply an example of Rule 34 of the internet.
It's like the most asexual drawing ever.
In action, and was thus inevitable, because if
they like her long hair. How many people have long hair in the world that aren't Jaden Animations, dude? A lot.
Didn't make out of her drawings, then someone else surely would. Insert obligatory boy math joke here. He then began to spam her DMs with his NSFW drawings, which I can only imagine was horribly traumatic for her eyeballs, because if you haven't noticed, this guy is not exactly the next Van Gogh. When she insisted that he stop, he threatened to draw more NSFW of her characters and upload it. Then he started threatening her directly, claiming that this
guy's like a digital sexual harasser gooner. He's like, heh, you don't like me? Well, I'm gonna draw you really hot and send it to you. Like, what's wrong with this guy? I'm just the messenger, bro. Internet finds a way. Yeah, they do, for sure. He also sources Lolly for his thumbnails. Yeah, we talked about that. I talked about that on Shud's stream.
He knew her IP address and personal information, and that she would do well to obey.
To be fair, he did do that a while ago. He doesn't do it now, in all fairness.
Him. All of this was made a lot more creepy by later revelations that David kept pictures of Rosali's art pinned to the wall in his room because God knows what was going on.
He was gooning, dude. He's in the goon cave. Once again, I have to question, like, what is so attractive about this? Like, I mean, no offense to Rosalie, maybe her art has gotten better with time, but like, what is so attractive to this guy about this? This like deviant art. This drawing's a little better quality, but like, what is so attractive to him about this drawing of this like, what creature is this? Kangaroo girl? Like, there's almost nothing even human about this. This is why I've always found it so perplexing that people jerk off to cartoon of any form. It's like, what is there attractive about it? What are you getting off to? It's not a person. It barely even resembles a person. I guess it approximates a person. Obviously, you can say that. This is kind of meant to look like a person, but it's so cartoonish. What are you finding attractive about this? Oikos with the extra protein helps with poop maxing. True. I assume it's just addiction. I assume it's just going further and further down some degenerate rabbit hole, but I just don't get it.
That unholy goon crevice. No, thankfully...
Like, there's literally... Dude, on the internet... Like, sorry, I hate to keep going on about this. There's literally real girls out there on the internet that make... that you can, like, jerk off to. Why are you jerking off to a drawing I don't get it. I don't get it at all. There's real females in the world.
When DeviantArt realized the kind of things that David was getting up to, they did eventually IP ban his account, making them the first platform to take action against him. However, across other platforms, mainly Instagram, he would be allowed to fester, and his private outbursts would only continue to become more and more concerning. Earlier, I mentioned David's habit of hiring voice actresses to portray his characters, specifically without crediting them, so as to maintain the illusion that he himself was providing those voices. However, some of these actresses actually wanted to be credited for their work, or at least to be able to talk openly about the roles they'd been playing, but obviously David couldn't allow that, as it could call into question his real-life identity. And
they could
so,
expose
in
him.
July of 2018, after a user named Blue Artist Draws, who had been doing voice acting for the channel, decided that they wanted to speak openly about their work, they were contacted by an extremely angry David. The ensuing conversation would culminate in David sending them the absolutely
Thanks for the gift of
spine-chilling
memberships.
message: "At this moment, I will fix some papers and I will leave my country to look for you."
Wait, what? This guy's insane. This guy's like, I'm gonna get a fake passport and then I'm gonna go find you. And you? What? He's threatening someone? He's threatening a voice actor? What? What the? Okay, so this is just like an insane person. Like, not only is he stupid and bad at art and like creepy, he's also just like, he's nuts. He's like, dude, imagine if you get in like drama with someone on the internet and you're like, I'm coming to your house right now when you're serious about it. That's so funny. Sorry guys, I can't hang out this weekend. I'm coming down with Parkinson's. Good luck, man. Drink some liquid IV. You'll feel better soon. This is an incel. I mean, incel is not even the proper word. I don't know what you even call this.
Now, it's impossible for us to know if David's threats ever had any weight behind them. However, they'd clearly escalated from him claiming to...
He's probably too stupid to figure out how to get on a plane, to be honest, but still. Kind of a concerning thing to be messaged if you don't know who he is. Or even if you do know, you know. It's not cool to think that somebody has the intent to hurt you mortally.
Have Rosali's IP address, as he was now literally
throw him in
threatening
Arkham
to
Asylum.
find someone in real life and presumably cause them harm. Ordinarily, I might be tempted to dismiss messages like these as pitiful attempts at intimidation.
Bro, King of Nothing really lost his shit. Lost his marbles for a bit there, didn't he? You're a victim. Stay indoors so no one can hurt you. Come to VidCon, I'll show you mad. Or are you scared you're going to hide behind your computer screen? Jeez. Shout out Smaggle. I'm 23 years old, so Jaden reminds me of an ASDF NPC. Yeah, I mean, once again, Jaden literally looks like, I like trains! Like, but those videos were awesome, by the way. These videos were sick. These videos were legendary. Amazing.
Got your nose.
Look out, he's got a nose! These are awesome, dude. 2008 this came out? Damn, was it that long ago? I think I was watching these when I was like 8, 9, or 10 when I was really into these. I think up until some point in middle school I really liked it. And then Minecraft became the new thing. And then it was Fallen Kingdom was like the swag. But ASDF was super, super good, man. Thank you for blessing me with that memory.
From internet users who, in real life, are unlikely to be quite as confrontational as they are online. However, given some of the things that David was later found guilty of, I don't think we should discount any of these past concerning messages. Even at the time, people became extremely concerned for Blue Artist Draws, and various posts were made across sites like YouTube, DeviantArt, and even Wattpad in order to spread awareness about David's behind-the-scenes behavior. As such, his channel fell under even more scrutiny.
Tom, do you think Mr. Beast is a normal dude with a great work ethic who bit off more than he can chew, or he's a bad person? Huge lurker, Scoob. Huge lurker, Scoob. I don't think he's a normal person. I don't think great work ethic even describes it. It's like psychotic work ethic. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, was he directly trying to be a bad person and like hurt people? Probably not. If I had to guess, it's like Mr. Beast's ultimate concern was success above all else, and the moral implications of some of the things he was doing, like hiring the RSO or like being around Chris Tyson, those are things he kind of pushed to the side to kind of just like, oh, I don't want to think about it. I'm Mr. Beast. I've got bigger things to worry about, which is not like a good excuse, but I think that is probably, and this is pure speculation, if I had to guess, that's the kind of person he is.
Than before, and given both the revelation that the voices within his videos weren't actually his, and the evidence of his degenerate outbursts in private, it wasn't long before
At this moment, I will look for some papers and come find you.
people started to come to the conclusion
I will
that
find you.
Cristali might have been hiding something from them, and that should give us a good transition point for going into the next phase of David's internet career, as people began to treat him with a bit more wariness, and it became a common sentiment that people would best steer clear of him. But there's something that I neglected to mention, something that occurred a decent amount of time before this, and which should have immediately caused David's perceived threat level within the community to skyrocket, but which somehow seems to have been dismissed by many, and it all had to do with a user named Limacat, or I guess more specifically, Limacat:3.
Elliot sounds more Jewish than Waluigi? What does that even mean? The name Elliot? Or Elliot is a person whose voice sounds more Jewish?
Oy vey. Elliot sounds even more Jewish than Waluigi.
I can't even do a Jew voice. How do you do a Jew voice?
Hummus. What you gotta do is you gotta go to the store and you gotta get what you need, alright? Alright? Get the diamonds. Get the diamonds, Samuel.
How's that? I try to do like Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems type voice. I think that was kind of somewhat accurate.
That's what you gotta do. Alright.
Copy Ben Shapiro. He doesn't even sound that Jewish.
On May 22nd, 2018, just a few months
Jewish
into
mob,
David's
yeah.
rapidly
1940s Jew.
expanding regime of terror, an unbelievably disturbing video was posted by Limacat titled
Cristali asked me for nudes! No!
Cristali asked me for nudes and sent me of his OC. Send to everyone.
Oh,
and
shizzle.
Given the title, I'm sure I don't exactly have to
yeah, let's go.
Spell out for you what this video was trying to allege, but let's hit the highlights. This video consisted of a series of screenshots, supposedly from conversations that had taken place between the uploader and David himself. Notably, Lima claims to have been 13 years old at the time of upload.
Yeah, I mean, that seems somewhat believable just based on the spelling mistakes, the improper use of grammar, some words being capitalized, some not, and how bad the art is. I think that's probably a 13-year-old if I had to guess making this. Or someone pretending to be a 13-year-old.
And they claim that David was a 20 to 23-year-old man. As we'll see later from articles documenting his arrest, this was false, as we can extrapolate.
The National Civil Police revealed that the detainee is David Alejandro Pascual Argueta, 19 years old, and during the raid, the agency seized hard drives and a USB. According to the investigations by the MP, the arrested man used anime characters to capture the attention of girls, and by impressing them with his anime drawings, he held conversations on the social network Instagram. By strengthening the bond of friendship, he asked them for intimate photographs. The MP has established that the detainee received photographs of girls and then drew and designed them in anime to sell them on independent website. Oh, shit. He got photos of these girls and then he drew them and sold them? Oh, that's so dark. That's so dark, bro.
From those that he would have been either 18 or 19 years old at this time. Regardless, this is still an accusation being made by a 13-year-old against a grown man, so keep that in mind. Although the screenshots are seemingly presented out of order, it's not too difficult to piece together a sequence of events. We can see from the comments section that Lima and David had previously collaborated to make an animation, which he then posted to the Cristali channel. This reflects possibly the first instance of David employing a tactic he would use many times when talking to his fans. He would entice them with the promise of collaborating with him, which would not only provide them with a way to get closer to a creator they admired.
It's such a classic case of grooming, right? It's not like some kind of borderline case, gray area. It's like literally offering a child a benefit in exchange for getting to have some kind of sexual thing with them. That's so foul, dude. This video got dark. I knew it was going there at some point, but god damn it. God damn it. Shapiro voice nasally like, facts don't care about your feelings. Or feelings more high pitched at the end. Yeah, I think that's good. The thing you need to understand about Cristali is that Cristali is a freaking and it's absolutely disgusting to see someone like this on the YouTube platform to this day. Not only that, but Cristali is also a libtard, which I would argue is potentially worse than being a
because not only are they creeping on children, they're also supporting the corporate, demagogue, demonic hegemony of the Democratic Party, which is pushing through avenues like Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. I think that's pretty good. Absolutely disgusting. Next meme. Obama is gone. Next meme.
I think that's pretty good.
But also an opportunity to gain a following, as he would platform them on his
Hey, Brett Cooper, you like my Ben Shapiro accent? I can do a lot.
Brett Cooper, I could even do the Jewish 1940s accent. Do you like it?
expanding channel. People have speculated that this served the dual purpose of getting people to not only let their guard down, as they believed that he was doing something nice for them, but also creating a perceived debt that he could hold over their heads, claiming that he was the only reason anyone paid attention to them on the internet. But we'll discuss that more later. For now, just know that it's likely this collaboration between David and Limacat was a method for him to initiate contact with her, and once he'd done so, he began to make requests of her in return. Specifically, it seems as though he would frequently request images of her performing poses, which he claimed he needed to serve as references for his art. While this is already bad enough, given some of the degenerate images he provided as references for the poses that he wanted, he would also do things like daring her to take pictures in the shower, or begging for a picture of her without a bra. It's all pretty disgusting.
How did no one figure this out? This is before he had his real downfall, isn't it? How did this get dismissed or not talked about more? This guy's a freaking throw his ass in Guantanamo Bay. It's not that far from where he lives. Throw his ass right over there, please. Jesus Christ. Freaky emoji.
Stuff. One thing that is extremely significant to note is that at a certain point, Lima clarifies that she is 13 and asks David if that matters to him.
You don't care I'm 13, right? Just making sure? No, porque pregunta. No sé, solo curiosidad. He literally says, I don't give a f.
In response, he says, no, porque pregunta, or why do you ask? I wonder. Lima's video seems to mostly focus on that David had sent her NSFW images of the character Cristali, and while that is obviously
what's interesting is even the kid was communicating to him that probably something wrong might be going on, and it's kind of weird. And this guy didn't even see that as a problem, right? What a sick. You know it's bad when even the child talking to you knows that there could be something afoot, and you're still not off put by that.
Degenerate and disgusting. I think we can all agree the worst part is certainly him allegedly requesting inappropriate pictures of her when she was only 13. Now, in the present day, this video sits at more than 150,000 views, making it one of the most popular videos about Cristali that remains on the internet. And the reception seems to have been generally supportive and understandably horrified at what David had allegedly been up to. In fact, even Nani, who I mentioned earlier, left a comment asking about how old David was at the time of these messages, showing that knowledge of these accusations had spread to some of the community's largest creators. As such, you might have expected that the community as a whole would band together to spread awareness and attempt to limit David's interaction with minors from this point on. After all, even if these accusations were difficult to verify, it seems important to at least consider their validity, because David was a creator who was, by the very nature of the content he produced, in close proximity with children. However, that doesn't exactly seem to be how the larger creators in the community saw it.
Well, I mean, surely they didn't react, or not react. I'm sure they didn't collab with him past that point, right? They weren't chill with him. Maybe they just ignored him or saw the allegations and saw it as unverified / not super convincing. So maybe that's why they didn't react to it in that way. But surely they didn't collab with him after that, right? I couldn't see that happening.
I hate to say this about Nani,
unless everybody else in the community is all children too,
because she would eventually become one of the main people who led the crusade against David and gathered his victims in order to try and get him arrested in real life. However, at this time, even she perhaps didn't give these allegations the attention they deserved. I commented earlier on how, by May of 2018, Nani had multiple videos about Cristali's tracing antics. However, what I didn't mention is that she actually took a couple of seconds out of one of her videos about his tracing to mention these accusations in passing.
There's one girl who says that he allegedly did these things. There's a video about it. I'll link the video to you. She says that she's 13 and he's 20 or something like that, and he's been asking for nudes or like dirty drawings and stuff like that, which is, I guess, technically illegal because he's over the age of 20. So yeah, there's that, of course, and of course that's terrible in itself. However, I'm not going to get too much into it.
She also linked Lima Cat's video in the description, which
yeah, I feel like that probably should have been a bigger thing to talk about. I guess the problem is I haven't seen that video by that 13-year-old about Cristali, so I don't know how convincing it was or how dead to rights it was or if the DMs seemed real or not at the time. So, I mean, there could be a better explanation there, you know, but if it was 100% dead to rights, then it probably should have been talked about more, right?
May have been part of what drew so much visibility to it in the first place. However, the fact that Nani's video was mostly about Cristali's stupid apology for tracing and not about the direct accusations that he—
I mean, obviously, I guess it goes without saying that they should go to the cops first, but, you know, it's obviously if somebody's a predator with an online audience, it's good to inform that audience of it so that that person is stopped from procuring more victims.
Who was a degenerate trying to take advantage of children is very interesting, and this is a theme that would only continue. Even months and months later, in November of 2018, when Nani posted a video discussing Cristali once again, she chose to focus on David's habits of tracing others' work in order to make NSFW for his Patreon, and this time, she completely ignored the grooming allegations. Again, I don't want to rag on Nani, and I understand how hard it is to broach the topic of serious allegations when you don't feel equipped to do so. Trust me, but I think it's really telling about this community that even half a year after David was accused of what is essentially grooming and requesting CP, people were still criticizing him for drawing boobs onto Rosali's OC and charging people $15 for it. These things are, of course, both wrong. But
was this community made up of children mostly? Like, how old was Rosali or any of these other people? Nani, how old were these people at the time? You know? Because if you're like 16 years old, I can understand you not like understanding the gravity of that as much if you're a minor yourself. And the other thing is, like, even if they were adults, like figuring out how, well, like I said, dead to rights substantiated the allegations were about Cristali, I think is a big point of contention here, because like if it was completely dead to rights, he was a all the time, that's one thing. But if it wasn't super convincing or compelling, or they, you know, hadn't seen it, obviously Nani seemingly had seen it, but if it wasn't super dead to rights or compelling at the time, I can understand why they wouldn't want to talk about it, you know?
But the tendency of communities like this to fixate on dramas that are largely trivial when one looks at the bigger picture is a problem I first noticed when researching for my Ben the Looney video, but which is even worse in this situation. But I digress. Even if people didn't attribute as much weight to these allegations as one might have expected, they still did begin to view David as a bit more dangerous of a presence. One could say that he graduated from being a loser to being a creep. And that does give us a segue into our next section, the era in which people were encouraged to steer clear of David, but still before he became public enemy #1. So let's move into the second chapter of David's degenerate journey.
So this is when he was looking sussy, but I guess in the community's eyes, he wasn't dead to rights as a freaking. What's up, SFO?
Something that I feel I have to mention here is that at a certain point during the events I just described, it seems that David had decided to reveal his face. I feel weird not having a concrete place to put such a meaningful event in the timeline, but the original video in which he did reveal his face, along with obviously the dude's entire channel, has been deleted by now, and I can't find any archives, only re-uploads, meaning that it's really hard to place the date that the video was uploaded. Overall, it's likely that in the midst of some of his private behaviors coming to light, David realized that it was much more trouble than it was worth to continue pretending he was a teenage girl. And as such, he showed the internet his true face, and told them to refer to him as Valdrox once again. Hi everyone, Future Jormai here. I still don't know the exact date this reveal was made, but while I was editing, I stumbled upon this video by Roadkill Raccoon, posted in May of 2018, which shows that even by that time, some people had—
Goddamn, the production quality of these channels is so awesome. Roadkill Raccoon. Roadkill Raccoon. What is the channel? This is Roadkill Raccoon. This is straight up fire production quality right here. I mean, this is just amazing, right? I mean, the artistic prowess of this individual is so fire. This video is called Monk. Whoa, what the Okay, so some kind of xenomorph parasite is taking over this monkey, seems. That's rather disturbing. I think the name of that channel lived up to its name. That's all I can say about that.
Discovered that David was Valdrox, and this had exposed him as a man. However, this video didn't get very many views, so David probably soldiered on with his lie for a little while longer before deciding to make the reveal official. So
Cristali is looking for booty. Once again, what a title. What a title. What a title.
Basically unchanged. Regardless, I wanted to at least mention this video, so yeah.
Someday I want to make a video exposing a and call it Tarted Jerker is looking for booty. That'll be fire.
Now, I know it might be a bit confusing, since when people made videos about David, they referred to him as Cristali, but now he wants to be called Valdrox. Just keep in mind, Cristali is a character created by David and the name of his YouTube channel, while Valdrox is another name for David himself. So while the majority of the internet would just call him Cristali, since that's the name of his channel, and that makes sense, his true fans, that is, people who are fans of him, the man behind the channel, would call him Valdrox. It's a mystery to me why David himself even had fans at any point, but it's even more perplexing.
I mean, they're like child fans, right? It shouldn't be that much of a mystery. You know, it's hard to understand the content that children like when you're, you know, above the age of, I don't know, 17 or something. It's hard to understand the appeal of content that children like. But, you know, like when I was looking at, what is it, Bendy's Digital Circus or whatever, I was like, what the f is this, right? But who knows how I would have reacted if I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, and I saw it, you know, for the first time. You know, kids like a lot of the time shit, you know, just slap a few bright colors on it, you can probably get some children to enjoy it. Like, look at Coco Melon. What is Coco Melon? It looks like cancer to me, but I'm sure there's millions of infants around the world who enjoy that every day.
At this point in his story, after so much had come out about him and his behind-the-scenes behavior. However, there are 3 factors I personally believe contributed to the development of the Valdrox fanbase. First of all, some of them were probably there because of his edgy, controversy-ridden, troll-centric persona, which made people want to be contrarian by supporting him. After all, anyone who's been on the internet for a few years is bound to have encountered pretty deplorable creators whose fans just want to watch them epically own other people. Degenerates like Maximilian Muss and Shadman come to mind. Second of all, it's possible that
I wonder if that is the case. I wonder if the appeal to someone like Shadman or Maximilian Muss, definitely Max I could see it, but with Shad, I wonder if the appeal behind him for a lot of people was not that he was drawing weird shit, but also just that he was willing to draw it and didn't care how people felt about it. I wonder if that was part of it. I don't think that, you know, makes it good to be a fan of Shadman. I don't think obstinance to general morality is like a good excuse to support a horrible person, but, you know, maybe that is a decent amount of the factor into why people liked him at all.
That some fans of the Cristali channel never even encountered any of the drama about him, leading them to continue supporting him
very
in their blissful ignorance. For example, a close associate to the Jormy49 channel who was involved in the community some years ago has confirmed that they never became aware that the person running the Cristali channel wasn't a girl because they didn't pay attention to drama. I believe it's not unreasonable to assume others might have been in this.
What is that banner on that sub? Illuminati. Is this supposed to be internet historian? Why do they draw him like that? Why do they draw him as like some oafish brute? And what is this? Is this James Somerton? These are like the funniest drawings I've ever seen. That's awesome.
To drama. I believe it's not unreasonable.
I've been on that subreddit probably like 40 times in my life. I never even noticed that. I never even noticed that that was their banner.
To assume others might have been in the same
That's
boat.
Crazy.
Finally, it
doesn't bode well
that many of David's most loyal fans were there because of a weird and somewhat exploitative parasocial bond that he had forged with them. A few minutes ago, I mentioned the possibility that David would use collaborations as a method of establishing contact with the younger members of the community. And as would be discovered later, this was only one of the methods he had for reaching out to his young and impressionable audience. Regardless of the reasons why, there was a substantial group of Valdrox fans on the internet. and it isn't too much of a stretch to say that some of them literally worshipped him.
Were there really? I've never even... I knew who this guy was. I didn't think that he had like a big audience. The Truth of Everything. Well, this has 100,000 views. Well, I guess he had some kind of fan base at some point. Although, I mean, all of these people are viewing him negatively. But he was notable enough that 100,000 people watched a re-upload of a video he made.
Y aparte de que sí hablo en español y youtuber. Todos los desgraciados me decepcionaron. Se han ido a otras plataformas y han seguido aquí. Esto. Sí sabes quién es, ¿verdad? Todos van a decir, oh, González, wow.
This is so weird. So the archive channel alone has 3,000 subs. One of the videos has 100K views. Some of them have a lot. Gambino meme. This is a re-upload. It's sad that this is a collab between a victim and a predator. True. It's crazy that a re-upload of this got 60,000 views. This is, for re-uploading content created by... This is even remarkably high, I would say.
To the point that his detractors began to refer to them as the quote-unquote cult of Cristali, and their platform of choice.
The cult of
where they
Cristali.
would congregate and sing the praises of their Lord
Was it DeviantArt?
was Amino.
Amino. Oh, I forgot about Amino. This is some app that was sponsoring YouTubers a lot back in the day. I think when I had like, I don't know, I want to say like 13,000 subs, I think they offered me like $200 to promote their shit. Amino. The disturbing truth about Amino. Amino needs to be deleted. What was going on there? Was it cringe content / shit? That's what I would guess based on the video titles. What was going on Amino?
As a teenager, it can be hard trying to fit in. What if you like a specific video game, like Minecraft, but none of your friends like it? Do you force yourself to enjoy the games your friends like, or do you stick to the game you want to play, but risk...
Okay, Amino app controversy. Kids Amino app asks girl 10 for topless photo to verify her age. What? The app itself? No way. A 10-year-old girl was playing dress-up anime game on a children's cartoon app when a message popped up asking for a picture of her bare chest or be permanently banned from the site. A private message showed up on the Gacha Life forum on the Amino app. They claimed to be female and that the app was a safe space for young girls. And went as far as to say that girls under 14 could take a photo with a bra if they didn't feel comfortable. What the? So it's not a notification from the app itself, I assume. It's like a message from some stranger on the app that a child would confuse with some message from the app and therefore do something terrible, possibly, right?
For those unaware, Amino is a social media site where users can create their own quote-unquote communities for people to join, each usually dedicated to a specific topic or person.
Reddit.
Over the years, the site has...
Have you seen the Squidward versus Miles epic rap battles of Sigma? I have. It was fire, dude. I loved it. It was good.
Earned a bit of a reputation
epic.
as a gathering place for more passionate fan bases, specifically fans of anime and...
Do I have a passionate fan base? Is that... Or am I just a soy jack and that's why I'm being put there? What does that mean?
furry-centric content would band together within these communities. And with that description, it should come as no surprise that, just like the animation meme community, a concerning amount of the user base was children, which again has led to all sorts of unsavory people being drawn to the site. But let's get back to the topic at hand. The Amino that was created in David, or rather...
Especially these art communities seem really like heavily penetrated by, because a lot of the art is of like children's properties, and then children get interested in it because it's like, oh, it's art of a thing I like, and I like art, so I'll get involved here. And then you just have like seeing that and seeing their perfect harvesting grounds, I guess.
Valdrox's name was actually formed absent of his influence. As the story goes, at some point after David's face reveal, a group of very dedicated fans came together to create a community known as Droxism. They were very organized, behaving more like, well, like a cult than like a traditional fan club. The reason I say this is that beyond the weird religious wording and the sheer reverence and zeal they had for supporting David by any means necessary, the Droxis also engaged in some very disturbing behaviors in David's name. And please be warned before I get into these that I have included links in the description for those who may have struggled with self-harm in the past.
Oh no.
But essentially, the main reason that people referred to Droxism as a cult was that the members were rumored to be in the habit of cutting V for Valdrox into their arms.
Bro, we're back to the degenerate Meowbo rabbit hole of cutting yourself for Discord roles. Jesus Christ. How dark does it have to get, man? Come on. I had enough. I had enough at him pretending to be a 16-year-old girl. Do we have to get worse than that? And we've already gotten worse, but it's just, you know, the papers are stacking up.
It is also rumored that it was once a requirement to join the community that one perform this act and send proof to one of the leaders, apparently to show their dedication to their degenerate lord. Now, you might...
Why is he wearing epic Assassin's Creed hood during his arrest? Why is he wearing that?
Be thinking that...
To hide his face, I guess?
David can hardly be blamed for what his fans got up to in their little club.
How many people actually did this, or is it shock lore? I mean, it could be shock lore, it could be fake, it could be real, who knows? This particular part, anyway. You know, it's ultimately a rumor, but still a disturbing rumor to hear about.
After all, I did say that the community was formed without any input from him. However, what I didn't mention was that, before long, David discovered this community of his most loyal followers, and was made well aware of what they'd been up to. Instead of discouraging this behavior, or at least distancing himself from this group of clearly very young and vulnerable people, David saw fit to take advantage of them by getting into contact with their current leader, a user known as Coffee Bean, and relaying to her commands intended to mobilize the group, essentially for the purpose of harassing and deterring any of David's detractors. And
oh, he had his little brigade. He had his little group of spurgs that could do his bidding. Interesting. He's the master of puppets. He's manipulative. The thing I always have to wonder with people like this is, like, you have to anticipate at some point when you're some kind of creep like this, when you're like, you know, getting pictures from girls who are way too young for you, when you're pretending to be a teenager online when you're not one, accruing an audience of young girls so you can abuse them, getting involved in some weird amino cult of people who self-harm in your name. Like, you have to anticipate you're going to be caught eventually, right? These people have to imagine that at some point it's going to catch up to them. Are they just too... They have no sense of self-preservation? Like, if you're a who has a public platform and you're like trying to molest kids with that public platform, you know, like, people can take screenshots of what you're doing, right? Like, it's going to happen. You're going to get called out, if not sent to jail at some point, right? They ride the line until they get caught? I guess so. It's just like, they're literally... I guess that the simple explanation is, like, when they're being their urges are stronger than the negative consequence that they could foresee, whatever it may be. You know, that must be it.
Of the people that David sent the Doxxers to harass, there is no better example than that of...
Why would he care? Well, because he's risking going to jail.
Emi Matsuno, a then 14-year-old artist
Seems
who
like
managed to enrage...
too impulsive to stop themselves from being a freak.
David, to the point that throughout the summer of 2018, he would not only command his little posse to spam her with threats, insults, and channel flags intended to remove her from the internet altogether, but he would also go so far as to post personal information about her in the background of one of his animations. But in order to fully
subliminal docs? What the hell?
This completely reasonable and appropriate reaction to being antagonized by a teenager on the internet, we have to backtrack a bit. Remember how I made a big stink about how the larger creators in the animation meme community didn't treat David's grooming allegations with the seriousness that they probably should have? Well, that doesn't mean that everyone in the community felt the same way. In fact, there were actually groups which emerged during this period that were specifically dedicated to not only spreading awareness about David's degeneracy, but also reporting him to the police with the intention of getting him arrested. As early as June of 2020, groups like the Cristali Report Amino became active, as well as various individual accounts like Ban Zafiro and Stop Cristali. The people running these accounts and communities would essentially work together in order to compile evidence, make call-outs.
I always find it so fascinating when you get to the point where there's like these little internet factions who don't have like audiences, they're not content creators. They're not like self-interested. They're just these little internet factions who find community and come together to do their spurg shit. I mean, obviously it's good to expose this freak, but it's so interesting to me when like these little brigades and communities come together to accomplish a common goal over the internet. It makes for some of the best stories, in my opinion.
Videos and overall spread awareness about David's behavior, months before any mainstream creators had condemned him for anything beyond tracing and uploading NSFW. However, just like the Doxists, these groups were also largely made up of children, and as such, not only was it common for
these factions are the real heroes. Why are content creators silent about it? I mean, the thing about content creators is they're not always silent about it because they know about it and don't want to talk about it. It's more that like content creators are one person, right? They're not omnipresent, but you know, members of their audience or whatever can cull through the entire internet to find these cases, right? So I don't think the onus is on like a content creator.
Dismissed due to the cringy and dramatic ways in which they called David out, but it was also very easy for him to sow dissent in their midst through manipulation and harassment. That brings us to the events that occurred surrounding Emi Matsuno's Amino community. Emi Matsuno's Amino was founded on June 13th, 2018, and it seems that even prior to its formation, Emi and her online associates had been warring with David and his fans. In some of the very first posts made to the community,
the
they
Cristali
document
war.
their efforts to gather incriminating screenshots and make call-out videos, nearly all of which would eventually be copyright struck and mass flagged into oblivion by David and the Drop.
Oh, DMCA abuse. We'll add that to the list, I guess. Jesus. Drags on a cigarette. Cristali! I haven't heard that name in years. As someone a part of the anime meme community, it's very accurate to say most of the drama in the community gets boiled down to the least important. For instance, a popular person now is who's a straight up Nazi. She's posted multiple anti-Semitic animations, creating cults, doxing victims. Most people care about the most minimal aspects, like her not finishing art for people. I assume it's children in these communities, right? What's their name? Toffix? Toffix? Who is Toffix? Toffix. What is the anti-Semitic meme that they made? Toffix, anti-Semitic. Oh, doesn't seem like search results are helping me too much there. Their description reads, hypersexualization, bright flash, blood. Jesus Christ, what is this? All right, we got some weird boy kisser shit going on there. They did a gone fishing animation meme. Is this the same person? Fishing would not like you. Chat, don't let the video distract you from what Toph did. What did Toffix do? Toffix exposed. Toffix is definitely cooked, they say. Dude, this is such a strange area of the internet. I don't understand what this is. Toffix drama in a nutshell. How can you even understand what is going on? This, what does this explain to me? They're pretending to be 10 years old, I guess, too. That's weird. This is, I hate whatever this is. This community sucks.
Roxists. Some of the earliest posts also chronicle their attempts to legitimately get in contact with the authorities, with the intention of sending David to jail on the basis of Limacat's accusations of grooming and requesting CP. Naturally, David didn't take too kindly to this type of behavior, and we can see from posts made to the community that he actually made multiple attempts to infiltrate it so that he could hinder their efforts from the inside. If all of this sounds very dramatic,
this is how normal people feel when you do gidda-giddy, gidda-gidda. If you're a normal person and you don't like that, you're a gay normie. Gidda-giddy is fire, and you need to understand gidda-giddy, gidda-gidda is awesome, okay?
Convoluted, it is. These people were acting like they were in a spy movie or something. It was crazy. Regardless, David's efforts to stop the community's work didn't end there, as he began to take action against Emi Matsuno herself. First of all, he mobilized the Droxus to harass her by leaving nasty comments on everything she posted, including telling her to harm herself and making a concerning number of claims about her personal sexual life, which seems like a really odd route to take. His fans also began drawing her being SA'd, which they would then send to David so that he could laugh at it. David also took advantage of the fact that he was in personal contact with many of Emi Matsuno's friends, which meant he was able to convince them to condemn her on his behalf, simultaneously attempting to discredit her claim.
Dude, this guy is like the master of puppets. He's like the master of... He's like turning her own friends against her. Like this is like a mafia movie. He's like getting them to turn on her so he can destroy her credibility from the inside so she can't expose him. This guy's like a degenerate, calculated internet Berg, who's also a creep. You don't see a story like that every day.
About him and demoralize her by having her friends turn against her. David most notably did this with a user known as
Animation Meme Sopranos,
who we will be coming back to later. Ultimately, David decided that Emmy couldn't be allowed to remain on the internet, and the order was given to the Doxists by Coffee Bean to mass flag Emmy Matsuno's YouTube channel in order to get it deleted. This was apparently extremely difficult for Emmy to cope with, and she made some very concerning posts that had members of the community concerned that she had actually taken her own life.
Jesus.
She even went so far as to call David the quote-unquote cause of my suicide. However, thankfully, she was posting again within a month, but hopefully this does demonstrate the extent to
they isolate them so they can't leave the relationship. I mean, that's what, you know, evil, abusive gooners do, but this guy is beyond that. He's like isolating one of his detractors and making her suicidal so she won't call him out anymore, right? This is like, and it's all over the internet too. He's orchestrating this like weird cult of teenagers who loves him
to which
do
David's
this.
torment did have a real effect on this person. Somehow, this behavior would only continue to escalate, as David was clearly turning to more and more drastic measures each time his harassment failed to get rid of his detractors. In August of 2018, David published an animation titled By Lena Problems. At first glance, this was just another riveting piece of content posted under the Cristali brand. However, astute viewers quickly noticed a frame within this animation that had a particularly disturbing background. For just one frame in this video,
is that the Illuminati? What is that? Is it a Baphomet?
Edgy.
He's a Satanist? No! Actually, of course he is.
Though obviously this doesn't really matter. It's just David being a cringy weirdo yet again. What does matter though is what was written over.
Is it? I don't know. People who are into this shit, people who are into like children and getting them to cut themselves and like weird edgy shit for the sake of like edginess mixed with like genuinely immoral actions. Those people do tend to be like weird Satanists. It's not really surprising to me.
Over this image, because in the top right corner of the screen, David had apparently decided to post Emmy Matsuno's personal information, and in the bottom left of the screen, he had apparently included a picture of her face. I don't even know where to begin discussing how disturbing this action was, so I'll just talk about the aftermath. Almost immediately, Emmy Matsuno's Amino was flooded with posts in which she began to panic and ask the community what she should do in this situation. Posts with titles like,
I'm not a particularly religious person, but I will say, like, people who intentionally worship, like, whether it's real or not, what they believe to be, like, a demonic entity that lives, like, the center of the earth, that betrayed God and, like, brought an army of sinful angels to hell and lives in, like, a gross hellscape. People who worship that and think it's really cool and are above the age of like 17 years old, I generally see as like weird people I don't want to be around. Like people who are unironic Satanists, I see that as kind of a red flag. I don't really want to be around them. I'm not saying that they're necessarily on the level of this guy or anything close, but what I am saying is I find them to be weird, immoral people who are like fascinated by the morbid, not just for the sake of like it's interesting, but because they think it's cool, you know? And people will be like, oh, well, Satanism isn't really about worshiping the devil, it's about worshiping yourself. And it's like, well, that's what the devil would want you to do, at least according to the Bible, right? He would want you to worship yourself and not care about anything, not care about the world around you, not want to help people. He'd want you to just goon all day and be a degenerate freak. So I don't know. I don't really like it, man. There's just something about it that weirds me out. I don't know. I don't really like it. I don't know if I believe in God. I haven't really figured that out yet, but people who believe in God and the devil and choose to worship the devil, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing.
Help, please help me, and please leave me alone once again painted a worrying picture of what this treatment was doing to Emmy Matsuno's mental state. It didn't exactly help that this was accompanied by yet another wave of mass flags against Emmy's channel, which was already something that had clearly caused her mental health to decline previously. Eventually, it was just too much, and following this event, there is a notable shift in the subject of posts made to the Amino. Emmy seemed to have essentially given up on her crusade against David, as her efforts, along with the efforts of others in the community, were seemingly going unnoticed, and in return for these minimal results, they were having to endure demoralizing harassment every single day. As I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say by now, the Lima Cat allegations being brushed over by larger creators in the community was bad. But these events, in which David went out of his way to support a group that was self-harming in his name, meddle in the relationships of children online, and harass people who were trying to spread the word about his predatory behavior until they threatened were, as far as I can tell, never comprehensively covered by anyone. The closest anyone above the age of 15 came to telling the story of these esoteric amino wars is when commentary YouTuber Repzilla briefly mentioned David's harassment of Emmy Matsuno. In his video, Cristali and Zafiro, aka Valdrox, exposed of terrible things. However, he didn't mention any of the other events involved in this degenerate drama. Because of this, I decided I wanted to take the time to describe what happened here in a bit more detail, because I feel it showcases David's character so well, even during a time period in which the worst things about him had yet to surface. Regardless, this video made by Repzilla is, in my opinion, very emblematic of the way that David was viewed by the internet at large during this period. People had begun to see him as a potential threat, as they questioned why he'd concealed his identity for so long, and they started to look back at previously made accusations a bit more carefully. And this
is a big thing I've noticed with like call-outs of people, right? I'll use a good analogy here. Is this a good analogy? Maybe a bad analogy. I'll use an analogy here, okay? Some of you in chat may know who Atrioc is because of his biggest controversy regarding the deepfake website I think he paid for or was on, gooning to female streamers. They got him in a lot of shit because he was friends with his best buddies with Ludwig. I think they're friends again now, but he's best buddies with Ludwig, and Ludwig's girlfriend, Cutie Cinderella, had deep fake nudes on that site. So obviously that's a touchy situation there, right? I'm a big fan of Atrioc. I started watching him, I want to say 6 months ago, maybe. I got really into his shit. I watch Atrioc every day, okay? If there's a YouTuber I'm going to watch every day, it's probably going to be Atrioc. I watch all of his main channel videos, all the big A stream clip videos. I love watching Atrioc, okay? I think he makes great videos. And it's unrelated to the Gooner stuff. But the reason I'm talking about him is because today he posted this video, and he was talking about like market collapse, and he used this quote, I think from Ernest Hemingway. Or maybe it wasn't, it was some poet or something. And he said, it was like, how did you go broke or something? And it was like, very slowly and then all at once. And he used that analogy to then transition to like this comparison of like how Joe Biden and his dementia, right? People really noticed Joe Biden's dementia a lot during that big debate he had where he was clearly really out of it with Trump and he acted like a right? But there were a lot of signs before that point of Joe Biden clearly having dementia, and like people knew about it like a little bit, but it wasn't like a huge national, concern conversation, right? It wasn't. It was like, I think people kind of knew about, obviously like Republican news outlets were talking about it, like Fox News, but it wasn't like a super giant story yet. And even Joe Biden's camp was denying there was anything wrong until the point where they were unable to because of how the debate went, right? And they had to acknowledge that Joe Biden clearly had dementia. And the point behind me bringing this up is to say that oftentimes there are clear signs of a problem way before it becomes the main point of conversation, right? You can like see little things. You can see little issues. And this is the case with a lot of people. With Creepshow Art, before she was exposed for being a complete piece of shit, borderline stalker, I'd say maybe even just full-on stalker of Emily Artful, right? Before that, there were other little signs of her like covering drama poorly, making false accusations, shit like that, that like, general narcissistic behavior that could be shown leading up to the point where she got fully exposed. With Mama Max, there were a lot of like red flags and little situations along the way that could have been called out or talked about, but it only became a full unraveling and not everything was really discussed until the big drama with God Cult and Blackula happened, right? And so the analogy I'm making here is basically that like, or with Mr. Beast, right? There were a lot of criticisms to make of him. All the stuff that, Dogpack talked about in his first video really was already public knowledge. Just nobody was paying attention. Nobody was watching. And if people did notice it, it wasn't really brought up because it was seen as like a small concern until the bigger stuff came out from Dogpack, and then you got to reanalyze his entire thing, contextualize it. And with like someone like Cristali, there were clearly red flags along the way, and even like verifiable allegations, well, somewhat unverified, I guess, but questionable allegations about him, right? You had him pretending to be a 16-year-old girl. You had him messaging a girl asking for pictures of her when she was 13 and he was like 19 or 20. You had this weird cult he's running, right, on Amino and contributing to, right? You had all this shit. And all this shit was talked about by like smaller creators or people, just like community members, the factions that were, thinking about it and following him, right? But it wasn't on a mainstream scale until the big thing happens, right? And so this is like a consistent thing, I think, with a lot of creators, where you can notice a lot of small problems with them, but a lot of them won't be super known to the public or rise to the level of like a great expose until the big dipper, the big thing comes out. And then everything else becomes reinterpreted, and you can contextualize their entire career and build the whole picture, right? So that's like, that's just a thing I've noticed with content creators a lot. Yeah. Sorry for the tangent. Actually, not sorry. It's my stream. Thank you.
This strange stasis in which the internet was stuck between being...
I have a test tomorrow. Go to bed. Go to bed. Jesus. I don't have a test tomorrow. I'm a YouTube gooner, okay? I don't have to do shit. Go to bed. Do your test tomorrow. Do well. Hope he studied.
Merely wary of David and actively condemning him lasted through the end of 2018. But 2019 was a new year, and it was a year of disgusting revelations. In fact, within the first 5 months of the year, David would literally be arrested. And it all started with a few reveals made by some familiar faces. As far as I can tell, the next major development in David's story came on February 8th, 2019, with a post made to the Cristali report Amino by a user named Pancake. Now, to you all, that name probably doesn't mean anything, but to those who were closely following the Doxxism drama, it was a name that had become somewhat infamous. This is because Pancake was well established as having been heavily associated with the Doxxism Amino, with some sources even claiming that she was actually the group's original founder and leader. As such, the fact that Pancake was even posting on an anti-Cristali Amino was shocking in and of itself. However, what would be contained within her post was even more so. You see, in this post, Pancake claims to have cut ties with David after allegedly being involved in a romantic relationship with him. And, well, the reason this is highly disturbing should be made clear by two messages allegedly sent by David, which are showcased in these screenshots. Quote, "Oh well, but remember that what we are talking about here, no one should know, right? Because someone told me that I had a 12-year-old girlfriend. Did you say something to someone else?"
I assume the reason why the texting is so awkward and jaunty is because it's translated, but Jesus Christ, bro. Are these verified? I mean, he went to jail, it seems that way.
Yeah. The screenshots also depicted David telling Pancake that he loved her and asking some questions that are a bit probing. There's honestly no need to read any more of them because, well, they're disgusting, and these messages on their own are enough to merit condemnation. After all, if they are real, they would show that David knew this person was 12 years old and still pursued a relationship with her, even going so far as to tell her that she cannot tell anyone else about it, which is obviously never a good look. Now, given what would soon come out about David...
Yeah, never a good look is definitely putting it lightly there.
Easy to accept these screenshots at face value. However, I haven't seen much discussion online about the validity of these specific claims, as they weren't as extensively covered as those that would follow. Furthermore, this is the only post made by the Pancake Amino account that still remains online.
Okay, well, I guess in fairness, even if he has I guess that particular allegation is not totally substantiated, as said by Jormy, so don't mean to jump ahead too much here. Whoa, wait. Bro put bird in the description under Twitter. That's what I say. I say bird app, you You're copying me. Disgusting. This guy makes good videos.
So it's hard to verify if this account even belongs to the same Pancake who was involved in David's so-called cult. Because of all this, it's important to consider the possibility that these screenshots are fake, as it always is when it comes to serious allegations like these. However, as I said, more things would quickly begin to emerge that would make these accusations, as well as the Lima Cat ones from all those months ago, seem more and more realistic. Specifically, the next two events in our timeline involve videos posted by two people.
Okay, a little bit of an aside here, just while we have a moment. I am still looking for a video editor. If you want a contract job as a video editor, I pay pretty well. So far, I've unfortunately been able to find someone outside of the editors that I have right now who can do what I need them to do in the time period I need them to do it. But if you are good with Premiere and After Effects, you have to be good with After Effects, specifically VFX stuff and like complex, like, well, not super complex, but like, you know, sort of 3D animation type stuff where you put something on an axis and put it in the background and move it around. If you're good at that and want contract work, send me an email at turkeytombusiness@yahoo.com, okay? I will pay lots of money for it, but I need someone who can do this. Yes, email me a portfolio for sure. You have to be able to edit something just like this, just like the main channel videos, no less. I cannot accept less. I need consistency. But if you can edit videos that look just like this in a timely manner, I will pay you literally thousands of dollars a month to do it for me so I can put out more videos. I've been unfortunately unable to find someone out of hundreds of applications who's been able to do what I need them to do, which is kind of frustrating, but it doesn't matter if they're Australian. As long as you have PayPal, I don't give a shit. But yeah, if you can edit, and when I say edit just like this, I do mean just like this, nothing short of it. If you think you can match this editing style perfectly and all the stuff we're doing here with these effects, if you can do that and you have a decent computer and you have video editing experience, and you're looking for work, I will pay you to help me do it. But you have to be able to mimic all of this precisely. Like I can't take any less. I have to have this exactly. You know, I can't afford to compromise on my consistency, but Premiere and After Effects, yeah, both of those. Or, I mean, DaVinci Resolve, you can do all this in DaVinci too. Honestly, the software is not as important to me as your skills and ability. But you have to be able to do exactly what I'm showing on screen right now. Like all of this, you have to be able to do competently. And if you can't, I can't work with you. But if you can do that, send me an email. I'm going to paste the email, turkey.business@yahoo.com. But if you can do that, send it to me. I will pay you. If you can't do what I showed on screen, please don't waste my time. If you can, please email me. I will pay you so much money.
People whose names should sound somewhat familiar. Cream the Kitten and Peachy Cub.
And I don't mean the Jormy video, I mean my videos on the main channel specifically.
Mentioned previously that Cream the Kitten was part of a drama in which David apparently manipulated her into fighting with the Emi Matsuno Amino. Peachy Cub, on the other hand, is someone who had become one of David's most vocal critics, and who would go to great lengths to draw awareness to his actions and give his alleged victims a platform on which to talk about their experiences, but whose name has been largely absent from this video, aside from me mentioning it in the intro. This is because, prior to the last few months of 2018, there really wasn't much activity on any of the Peachy Cub accounts, at least as far as I can see. And there's a potential reason for this, a reason that is hinted at by Peachy herself in her video, So Cristali. And this video was one which would play an instrumental role in David's takedown, so let's begin discussing it. The video has been deleted by YouTube for violating terms of service and exposing private information, with the claim, of course, being filed by David himself, which at this point is kind of just par for the course. The video begins with Peachy describing how she had actually joined the Doxxing Amino along with her friend Pancake, who was, according to her.
So is the lore is going to present here that Peachy Cub is Meowba, therefore Meowba became the way that she is because of Cristali? Is that the lore we're getting here?
Her, the group's founder. This is the reason that I just hinted at for why Peachy Cub didn't seem to have much of a digital footprint prior to the last few months of 2018. It's possible that after leaving the Doxxing group and changing her stance on David, she had either changed her username or wiped her internet presence, possibly to separate herself from her past beliefs and actions while she was still part of the community. Regardless, interestingly enough, she claims that she did not first come into contact with David himself through the Doxxing group, but rather when he reached out to her directly in November of 2018. As she explains it, she had cosplayed as his characters, at which point someone had sent him the pictures of her cosplay, claiming that she was a
Andy
boy.
and Laylee music coming in
David
clutch.
allegedly reached out to Peachy in order to verify that Peachy was not, in fact, a boy. So the origin of their contact was already questionable at best, because Peachy Cub was only 14 years old at the time. According to her, over the course of the coming months, David would attempt to gain her trust through various methods, including telling her that he was 16 years old, making her feel as if he cared about her problems, and flattering her excessively, all with the ultimate goal of receiving inappropriate materials from her. He would apparently beg incessantly for her to take pictures without underwear, and would send her NSFW art and even actual videos, pressuring her to replicate these inappropriate things on camera. Although Peachy says that she resisted these attempts at first, David was unrelenting, and she eventually gave in and sent him what he wanted. These messages are genuinely some of the most degenerate things I've ever seen.
I think we get the idea. I'm curious to see his arrest. That's what I want to know about. When did he get arrested?
And due to the nature of what he was, thus leaving her channel safe from deletion. However, as fate would have it, a mere 5 hours after she uploaded her apology, David was arrested.
Let's
so
go!
It was no longer warranted. As you might expect, there weren't very many updates for a while. After all, David had been arrested, and due to
surely he's in jail now, right? I mean, it seems pretty dead to rights with all this.
The nature of what he was being accused of, I think we can presume his access to the internet was severely limited, if he was even afforded any. Our next major event then does not come until July 26th, 2019, the publishing of Peachy Cub's project, The Happier MAP. The video performed exceedingly well for Peachy Cub's channel, as the community rejoiced.
First time I've seen a YouTube groomer face IRL consequences. It's happened before. I mean, with like Austin Jones and Lion Maker, they both face consequences. I'm sure there's other examples that I'm not thinking of where it's happened. But yeah, unfortunately, it does seem relatively rare. Very unfortunately, it seems relatively rare that face consequences for their actions. It kind of sucks.
That having rid itself of Cristali, and it sort of brings us full circle, as this is the video that first brought this situation to my attention, as I very haplessly mentioned it all the way back in my Miaba video. And as much as I would like to call it quits here in honor of that, I can't, because there are still far too many loose ends for us to wrap up. So stick with me for just a bit longer, because I've still got a bit left in the tank. You've already heard that David was arrested in April of 2019. However, you
better be in jail, man.
Might have noticed that I didn't give any update on what his exact sentence was, and that's because it wasn't announced until August of 2020.
20 years. This is 20 years, right? 20 años?
20, more than a full year later. On August 21st, 2020, Nani published a video titled Cristali Was Sentenced, in which she describes this event, and the day after, Repzilla published a video talking about the same thing. Articles discussing the situation restate that David was
3 to 5 years, this says?
Arrested on charges of possession of materials of...
Only 3 to 5, come on. Give him like $1 million. He's a Satanist, just let him go to hell with the rest of them.
Minors aged 11 to 14, which were discovered on his computer, taken from his room in a house he lived in with his parents. His charges were actually elevated to the level of human trafficking based on their severity, which is absolutely insane to me. Although this could be a translation thing, I guess, I'm not really sure. Notably, according to Nani, David's channel, which was named Jade...
I mean, it seems kind of difficult. I feel like human trafficking is such a specific thing. I mean, maybe there are translation errors, but I feel like it's relatively clean translation from English to Spanish, typically, so... yeah.
At this point, had yet to be deleted, despite it being clear that he hadn't exactly been using the site for the best reasons. According to his Wikitubia page, yes, the best source ever, David's YouTube channel wasn't actually deleted until nearly a year later, on August 7th, 2021. The good news relating to David's sentencing is that he was forcibly placed on a sex offender registry. However,
Nice.
the news that left some people feeling a bit dismayed is that David was officially sentenced to 3 years and 5 months in prison,
Oh.
a number that many online have expressed is not sufficient to match the severity of his
True.
actions. This is exacerbated by the fact that, according to some, a sentence that short can actually be paid off in Guatemala, meaning that if David was able to pay a fee, he wouldn't have to serve any jail time at all. Though I haven't made any efforts to fact check this, since I am in no way an expert on Guatemalan law. Interestingly enough, Nani also claimed that she was still being harassed by Valdrox fans even at the time this video.
Really? 3 to 5 years though, that's it? Come on, man. Well, I'll take comfort in the fact that typically they're not treated very well in prison, so hopefully at the very least he had a tough time in the showers there, but god damn it. Sorry, not even 3 to 5 years, 3 years, 5 months. Is that really a fair crime for trying to f a child? A 13-year-old or a 12-year-old? Is that really a fair crime? I feel like it needs to be more than that. Or sorry, is that really a fair sentence for that? I feel like it should be way higher. Come on. Give him like 30. He'll get out when he's 60 and live the rest of his life in misery. At least give him that.
Was uploaded, which again was more than a year after David was arrested, though that didn't really seem to matter to these people. In fact, some of them seemed to be using him as an example to learn from. Over the next few months following his arrest, multiple people had allegedly used David's techniques as a model for luring in minors and manipulating them into providing inappropriate materials, with many online mentioning
he created the Creep blueprint, the LCP blueprint,
figures like Nora the Wolf and Crystal the Wolf as examples of this phenomenon, although those two are a completely different rabbit hole that I will not be getting into now.
Bet you will next video, Jormy, which I will enjoy, as disturbing as it is.
Some D1 Cristali glazers that I will be discussing just a bit though are those who were part of the hashtag KVA movement. KVA stands for Keep Valdrox Alive, and hashtag KVA was apparently a movement on social media put into action by David's most loyal fans in order to preserve his spirit or something. They called themselves the White Wolves, and they all named themselves after characters they had created that were largely in the same vein as Cristali and Zafiro.
His legacy carries on.
One is
Wait, isn't that Chip's thing? Isn't that Sergeant Braphog? That's Chipple Dipple's thing.
Almost akin to what comes up when you search your name followed by the Hedgehog and see tons of OCs in the exact same style as Sonic. For a while now, there have been rumors circulating about the KVA movement being a cult in its own right, but I've yet to find evidence of any of this. Perhaps in the future I'll make a follow-up about the so-called clones of Cristali, but for now, I'm tired. The last thing I'll touch on before getting to the conclusion of this video is a channel created somewhat recently that some people actually believe could be David in disguise, sneakily trying to return to the very same community he once wrought havoc upon. Strawberry the Foxy.
This is why you can't let... I'm not saying this is him. Jormy could be slandering someone here, who knows, but these people will always offend again, man. If you let them out, they're going to do the same shit. Because they're sick in the head. They're going to do it again. 50, that didn't age well. I wanted to Peachy Cub's Instagram, which is a link from her abandoned YouTube. Peachy Cub and Meowba is not the same person. All right, we'll let that be known. Peachy Cub and Meowba are not the same person, according to this comment. Show us your Hedgehog OC. I'm sure it exists, bro. Hold on. Let's see. Looks like it actually doesn't. We won, guys. We won. Now that I said this, someone's going to do it, but whatever. At least we made it this far, okay? We made it, how long have I been on YouTube? My channel was created in like 2015. We made it like 9 years into the existence of the Turkey Tom channel without having Turkey Tom the Hedgehog art. We won.
Created their channel on February 9th, 2023. Okay guys, future Jorma here.
I'm making a pony Sona. I've definitely seen that before.
I see that it says Strawberry Tunes. Turns out that this person is also in the habit of changing their username frequently like David, so just ignore that. And they instantly became contentious for very obviously tracing.
The problem with speculative claims with people like Peachy Cub is you just never know. So you could be alluding to something about someone that's really not the case, and people may take it as fact.
Seeing the work of Cristali, which seems a bit ironic since those animations were themselves originally traced. Actually, Strawberry made it even more obvious they were tracing than Cristali did, if that's even possible. Their art style would change in literally every single post they made, almost as if they wanted to draw people's attention to it. Before long, people started to make videos on Strawberry, accusing them of everything from lying about being a girl to grooming underage fans, all of which sounds pretty familiar. But again, I have yet to find literally anything that backs up these claims. As far as I can tell, the
dude ever got out of prison? We don't know for sure, but he should be getting out pretty soon based on his sentence being in 2021, right? He should be getting out pretty soon here.
Strawberry the Foxy channel has
not, he's out
continued
already.
to upload since these claims were made, although their comments are continually flooded with people saying things like, "Aren't you supposed to be under house arrest right now?" and "Ain't no way Blood's back." Overall, I can't be sure if this is actually David, back on the internet and up to his old...
Why would he come back with the same art style and same character? Yeah, that's a good point, but at the same time, they're really dumb, but I don't think there's no evidence that this person is Valdrox.
...tricks. Although I do have my doubts about whether or not he would return to making the exact same content that he was making prior to his arrest. There's also been a decent amount of speculation that David is now running a channel known as Mizuno Melody, which has more than 2 million subscribers. Once again, though, it's just speculation as far as I know, as all I've really seen on it is a few Reddit posts. Regardless, I would advise you all to exercise caution around Strawberry or anyone who is part of the KVA movement and associated with that kind of rhetoric, because you never know when they'll decide to take a page out of their idol's book. And if you ever do feel as if you're being victimized or someone on the internet is pressuring you to do things you don't really want to do, I implore you to talk to a trusted adult or click one of the links I've included in the description. But with that out of the way, it's finally time to get to my conclusion. Normally,
I feel like, I don't know what the big takeaway is here. I mean, it's just another internet, right? I will say some of the red flags were there along the way. I'm kind of surprised that it took so long for, I mean, especially that allegation from that girl, the 13-year-old that was, you know, years before he got arrested, right? I'm surprised more people didn't talk about that, but at the same time, a lot of this shit does go under the radar, you know, especially with like dubious/unverified claims. It can go under the radar for a while.
I try to end my videos by giving a bit of credit to the person I've just spent 30 minutes to an hour.
Give him some credit. Try your best, Jormy.
Taking a massive dump all over.
Try your best.
Because I want my viewers to understand that behind every screen, there exists another person, and we're liable to lose our empathy and become monsters when we forget that. However, in this case, the person I just spent who knows how long talking about is the one who lost his empathy, became a monster, and purposefully manipulated and victimized people on the internet. So I don't feel taking that kind of approach would work the greatest here. Instead, I'll focus on tying up a few remaining loose ends.
Good video by Jormy, as always. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Be sure to check out Jormy49, one of my favorite video essayists on YouTube. If you like the content, we do enjoy it quite a bit. Jormy, so poetic, so true. We do enjoy that. Anyway, with that being said, it's 3:38 a.m. It's almost 4, so I'm going to get out of here. But thanks for watching. Hopefully you liked it. Subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. Check out all my shit. Apply to be a video editor if you're looking for work. And you can do what I need you to do. And only if you can do it. Send me an application. If you can't, please don't. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to go sleep and then, I don't know, do stuff tomorrow. Do work stuff tomorrow. Go to the gym. You should all go to the gym. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.